Hey yo, it's Toronto Bad at Predictions guy, back at you again with my 2021 Canadian Premier League Playoff Predictions. The 2021 CPL regular season has wrapped up and it has been a wild regular season with teams jumping all through the standings, teams that looked like they were shoo-ins to make the playoffs, falling out as the season goes in, some teams having huge charges up the standings, getting into the playoff spots just to fall off at the end. But after 28 matches for each team and 4 hard months of play for each team, we are down from our original 8 teams in the regular season to the final 4. And they are, in order of regular season finish, Forge, Cavalry, Pacific, and York. 2 one-game matches with the higher seeded team being the host in both cases. We have the 905 Derby in Forge versus York and a Western Canada matchup with Calgary's Cavalry versus Victoria's Pacific. 2 very exciting matchups for the semi-finals of the 2021 Canadian Premier League season. The first time ever that the CPL is doing this 4-team playoff format. I know last year there was like the round robin thing, but this year it's the first true semi-finals. And this weekend on Saturday we have Cavalry Pacific, and then on Sunday we have Forge York. And the results of those 2 games will decide who plays off in the 2021 Canadian Premier League Championship and who will raise the 3rd North Star Shield. So let's look first at Forge versus York. Now, all season, Forge, Cavalry, and Pacific were like the top 3 for most of the thing after the kickoff in Winnipeg. These 3 teams were consistently the 3 at the top of the standings the whole way through the season. York was the team that near the very end slipped into that last 4th place playoff spot. And York surprised a lot of people by getting into that spot. A lot of people had predicted them to be near the bottom of the league. They were a very young team, a very raw team coming into this season, and they have surprised a lot of people by squeezing into the playoffs, squeezing into a playoff match, a very short drive from their home stadium in Hamilton. That should be really exciting for them to finally get a knockout playoff match in the Canadian Premier League. They're up against a Forge team that just has been class all season. This is a Forge team that came into the season, had a little bit of a slow start, and then throughout the season got some key additions, Omar Brownie and Emery Welshman chief among them, that really pushed this team over the edge. The most depth in the Canadian Premier League, and they've needed it as they've had also the CONCACAF League runs, had a deep Canadian Championship run to the semi-finals. This is a team that's basically been playing 2 games a week all season due to having to play in the CONCACAF League and Canadian Championship in deep runs of both of those, in addition to the Canadian Premier League. And in fact, this CPL playoffs has actually been delayed a couple of weeks from when it should have happened because of Forge's end-of-season games having to be pushed back due to their performance in the CONCACAF League. So for Forge, this is the team that they should win. Like, going into the whole CPL playoffs, they should win. They should be number 1, first place in the regular season. How are they able to hold up? Do they still have the intensity to play a strong, hard, 1-game playoff despite having played all those extra matches that the other teams in the CPL haven't played? Against York, I think they just have the class and ability that they should be able to win. In a 1-game matchup, a 1-game playoff knockout match, Forge has a lot of experience in that. York doesn't have anywhere near as much experience in those situations as Forge. Forge, better team, more experience in this sort of environment. They should take it and move on to the finals. On the other side of the bracket, we have Cavalry versus Pacific. Pacific, strong start to the season. They were in first place until pretty much the last couple weeks there, and then fell off and now have lost the chance to host their playoff match and host their semi-final match, going away to Calgary to play the Cavalry, who are just consistent and have been all season and actually have been cranking it up a little bit in the last little bit of this season. These are 2 teams that are very, very even. Both have a very talented, creative attacking midfield forward player in Joe Mason and in Marco Bustos. Both have very good goalies in the CPL in Callum Irving and in Marco Carducci. Both have solid backlines, both have solid midfields. At striker, Pacific might have a bit of an edge if Taron Campbell is going, but he's not always going and not always playing to the best of his abilities, as especially we saw last season at the Island Games. Cavalry right now doesn't have a striker at that quality as I think of Taron Campbell. So that's the one area where Pacific might have a bit of an edge. However, at home in frigid Calgary this weekend, Cavalry might have a bit of an edge. And honestly, I think 3 weeks ago, I would have been saying that Pacific would be winning this game, but recent form is an indicator in playoff matches, and so I'm going to have to say Cavalry is going to win this game. And so the finals of the 2021 Canadian Premier League season will be a repeat of the 2019 final, Forge versus Cavalry. These two teams, all 3 seasons, have just been absolutely fantastic. And coming to this game, I think there's going to be one major factor that has nothing to do with the Canadian Premier League that might be the bigger decider. And that is, midweek, Forge on Wednesday has a CONCACAF League match. It's at home against Motagua from Honduras, but they do have a match in midweek. Cavalry, on the other hand, will not. They'll be on a week of rest. And then a few days after the CPL final, Forge will have yet another CONCACAF League match, this time down in Honduras. They're going to have that in the back of their mind going into the Canadian Championship final. Cavalry, on the other hand, doesn't have that problem. And that's what makes it interesting. Quality of players, quality of team, Forge is the favorite. But the rest that Cavalry will have will be a huge advantage for them. Forge, however, will be at home. So maybe the home field advantage for Forge would offset the rest advantage for Cavalry. This would be an incredibly tight match, and I can very easily see extra time or penalties deciding the CPL final. In the end, though, if there's one thing Forge have shown us all season, it's that they can face adversity dead on and overcome it every time. Nothing has stopped this Forge team at all, and even with the crazy scheduling they've had, they haven't complained, gone in every game and gotten the results they need, playing far too many games in far too short a time span, as any team probably should. I don't see Forge stopping. I think the three-peat is almost inevitable at this point. So my pick to win the 2021 CPL season and win the three-peat is Forge FC. And there you have it, my predictions for the 2021 CPL playoffs. Forge FC is my pick for the three-peat. I think they're just too good right now. They have too much depth. I may have just urinating treated us by saying they're too good right now. Fingers crossed I didn't. But they're the cream of the crop of the CPL right now. Have been great in the CONCACAF League. Already secured a Champions League berth for next season. Nothing so far this year has stopped this team, and I don't think anything in the CPL will. So that does it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments who you think is going to win the 2021 Canadian Premier League Championship. And always, if you like this video, hit like if you see more of my stuff. Hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.